door on Justin Fields going number 1 overall?
I wouldn't. I mean, you just never you look, man. You never know what these coaches and these front office people are thinking. Yes, did Trent Baalke, the general manager down there, and Urban Meyer, the head coach, certainly have their eyes on Trevor Lawrence because he spoke to Peter King and he said to Peter King, hey, yeah, that's the direction that we are going in. We're looking at it that way. It looks to be that we're going in that direction of Trevor Lawrence. He didn't say it. He didn't say that was what it was. He just said we're going, that's kind of the direction. But when you look at Justin Fields and his ability and some of the things and the principles that Urban Meyer's quarterbacks have had in the past, this may be something that piques his interest. He did recruiting. He understands him. One of the guys that he hired to bring in Ryan Day to Ohio State to run an offense in the takeover as the next head coach was Ryan Day.
Handpicked by
him. Handpicked. You don't think those conversations through not only this year, but the last couple years have been, hey, how's the kid? What's his mindset? He's got all the intel about him right there. He doesn't have to think, question, nothing. And it just, I don't know, man. Sometimes these drafts, think about it. Bill Polian had a chance to take Ryan Leaf over Peyton Manning. In the end, not 2 weeks before, but in the end, final minutes leading up to the draft, he made a decision to go with Peyton Manning. I understand that because this love affair has been going on with Trevor Lawrence for so long that everybody just assumes that's what it is. You can't assume until it's done. That's all I'm saying.
Manning and Leaf is the ultimate what if. What if it had gone the other way and they had chosen Leaf? We're asking what if for guys' careers, right? If this guy or gal, whatever, had not gotten injured, what could have been? The phone lines are filling up. There's some really great ones here.
Because think about it, though, Bart. Last year, during college football season, he was a can't-miss prospect, right? Yeah. Number one, he's the Andrew Luck of the next generation. He's a this, he's a Peyton Manning, he's a that, he's a every quarterback you could think of. Yeah. This is the guy. And then all of a sudden, you fast forward to where we are today. It's like, well, we really like this Zach Wilson. This Zach Wilson guy is really good. Okay, so if Trevor Lawrence is your can't-miss, lifetime, once-in-a-generation, family guy, all the things that they say, and then all of a sudden, Zach Wilson comes along, and Chris Sims said the other day, the former quarterback of Texas and the Tampa Bay Bucks, and he goes on and he says, well, he would take Wilson over Lawrence. So what does that make Wilson? Is he now all of a sudden a can't-miss, surefire, Hall of Famer, and all these other things?
See, nothing's a can't miss, though, Key. That's why it's a draft, and we don't know, right? We don't know out of all these guys who's going to be the guy, right?
Exactly.
Because at some point, every one of these guys were the guy in high school, right?
Exactly.
And we thought that they were going to go to where their prospective colleges and were going to be the guy. Some worked out, some didn't. Right? And, we wouldn't have Trey Lance in this discussion if we were talking about from high school. We wouldn't have Zach Wilson, right? But it's all about development. Who's going to continue to get better? Who's going to go in the right situation? Now, when you think about Urban Meyer and saying, okay, making an argument for why he would take Justin Fields, because you would think that he would already understand the verbiage. You would think he would also understand the offense, the concepts. So it would be an easier, smooth transition if he was to go to the pros. But it's no way that Shai Khan would allow, I believe, because for you to miss on a prospect that we've been waiting to come out for the last 2 or 3 years.
But you've been waiting for him, but you also been waiting for Justin Fields too. The only difference is Justin Fields didn't play as a freshman, so the hype machine didn't catch up to him until a year ago.
And he didn't get the title. That's what it is.
But I'm not drafting a dude based on no title.
But when you get the title, what that usually means, right? That puts the ultimate hype on you, right? Look what he did with his team. Look how he took his team to the championship. That's why I was so surprised when Deshaun Watson came out. They didn't give him extra credit, and people passed on him knowing that he was a winner, right? He had all the skills, and then the intangibles. Usually what separates good from great is the fact that this guy is a champion, right? Because it's something that happens to you when you win a championship. It says that you know how to finish the process. Justin Fields wasn't able to get it done, so of course they push him down a little bit. But listen, when you think about it, I think the draft starts at 2, right? Because I think whoever was at 1, I don't care what team was at 1, will have to take Trevor Lawrence just because the narrative of he is the next Andrew Luck. Because what Justin Herbert did in his rookie year, in their game, in the way they're built, it's very, very similar. They're both 6'6" quarterbacks, strong arms, and more athletic than people give them credit for. So now you got to make that one. I think the draft really stars on, does the Jets make a mistake not taking Fields, and then Zach Wilson turns out not to be a durable quarterback, not to be able to be the quarterback that they anticipate him to be.
We should also mention Urban Meyer. Justin Fields had 2 pro days, the most recent one this past Wednesday. Urban did attend his first pro day in late March. So in addition to, as Key said, getting to know the intel beforehand, he was there to watch him in an official Jacksonville capacity. And even though the odds are extremely remote, let's just go back to reality. According to Las Vegas, Lawrence is minus 10,000 to be the first overall pick. To use the word overwhelming would be underwhelming when it comes to the odds. The overwhelming number 1 overall pick, and that's probably the strongest word I can come up with because I can't think of another word. Minus 10,000 is incredible. Fields is sitting there at plus 3,000. So even though Key is opening the door and it would be an incredibly juicy story, everybody out in Las Vegas is essentially saying it's signed, sealed, and delivered, which it likely is. Keyshawn J. Will Zubin brought to you by Mako. Was 2020 full of dings, dents, and scratches? Using your tax refund at Mako can help. Refresh your ride with your refund at Mako. Undo a little bit of last year. Head to Mako.com to get an online estimate, a free one today. Better get Mako. Let's continue the conversation here with Field Yates, ESPN NFL insider. Field, obviously, we're going to have him here in just a few minutes, and we're going to talk to him just a little bit about what we think about if he thinks, Key, there's anything that you're saying to the fact that it could be some sort of backroom work that could have Fields get picked up.
Look, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I'm just looking at, again, a guy who's been in that same building in Columbus, who knows that staff, who he knows those people in the building. He hired damn near the entire staff. So it's just when you have that sort of intel on a player at this magnitude, they're not that far apart in terms of play. Some would argue Justin Fields is a better quarterback than Trevor Lawrence, just like they argue Zach Wilson is a better quarterback than Trevor Lawrence. It just depends on what Urban Meyer feels. That's what it depends on, whether or not Urban Meyer feels that way. Because there's a lot of people that feel like one is better than the other.
Let's bring in Field Yates. All right, Field. I know if you're playing the field, you got to go Trevor Lawrence number 1, as I just gave you the Vegas odds. And I know Key obviously knows that as well. But it is this time of the season. Here we are, less than 2 weeks away from the draft. The link between Meyer and Fields is there. It's a tangible. It's a real thing. We've seen draft day surprises before. What would it take for you to buy this, though?
Did we have a draft day surprise in what regard, Zubin? That something happens with Trevor Lawrence at the top of the draft or otherwise?
We were just debating the possibility, however remote, that because of the relationship between Urban and Justin Fields going back to Ohio State, the Ryan Day link, the fact that even though they publicly said it's all moving in Trevor Lawrence's direction, even deferring to owner Shad Khan.
Yeah, I'm going to go with I think there's about as good a chance of me being drafted number 1 overall as Justin Fields or anybody else not named Trevor Lawrence. I think this is signed, sealed, delivered. This is Trevor Lawrence all the way, take it to the bank. And I understand. Honestly, this is my first thought, is that the NFL draft should have started yesterday, Zubin, because we're at the point now where we've gone through all the different scenarios and had all these debates that now we're like, what do we do for the next 2 weeks? Now, it's going to be Trevor Lawrence. It's unequivocally going to be Trevor Lawrence. If you live in Jacksonville and you're a real estate agent, you might as well start looking for houses for him. If you're a fan of the Jacksonville Jaguars, if you haven't already bought a Trevor Lawrence jersey, I'm not sure what you're waiting for. It's going to be Trevor Lawrence.
All right, I want to ask you this, something that's more realistic. The Pats are picking 15th in the first round. I want you to take a listen to this from Bill Belichick talking about the possibility of a little movement by the Pats, who Belichick's boss, Robert Kraft, said, most notably recently, we haven't drafted very well recently, which is why we spend so much money in free agency. Here's Belichick on the notion. Listen to this. We'll get your thoughts.
At 15, I think we could eliminate a few players that won't be at 15. And then you could look at a couple scenarios and say, well, these three players are there, which one would we take? If these other three different players are there, which one would you take?